125 aircraft involved, we are told. Can you say definitively that Iran's nuclear program has now been destroyed?
Well, John, I don't want to get into the sensitive intelligence here, but we know that we set the Iranian nuclear.
Yeah, they didn't. This is the way to basically admit that they did not, by the way. That's the other side of the story. And just watch this space. They're going to say they didn't in a little bit when they justify striking Iran again. Just so you understand. They're going to say, oh, well, this was a good first strike, but more strikes are necessary. First, Israel will say this. They've probably already started saying this. They're going to say, oh, the impact was very limited. And also, they had moved the enriched uranium to other facilities. And our intelligence is working tirelessly to figure out where those facilities are. Could be under a mosque, could be under a school, who knows? And then Iran will strike. Iran will continue striking. And then they will demand, they found another deep underground base, actually. There's special intelligence. America has to come back again. America has to fight again. That is, if Iran doesn't, in the interim, Iran doesn't immediately strike American bases, which will pull America into the conflict as though they haven't been pulled into it already. Iran themselves said it. I know, but Iran said that literally a week prior to the American bombing campaign. America knew that Iran had already moved the enriched uranium, and yet they struck Fordow anyway. I think the real reason why America struck Fordow and the other nuclear facilities directly was so that they would shift Iran's attention away to American assets in the region and away from bombing Tel Aviv. Because I think that Israel's air defenses have diminished. They have been exhausted. So every day that Iran spends striking Israel instead of striking American assets is a day where the appetite for more violence and bloodshed from Israeli society overall, once they finally experience repercussions, goes away. It's another day where the Israeli economy is at a halt. You keep thinking Iran is lying, but they are puppy. That's not what I'm saying. You realize America has more of those MOPs. America could kill Khamenei yesterday, and so could Israel. Why have they not done so far? I think they inevitably will, but the reason why they haven't done so thus far is because there's still a calculation being made here as far as what the Iranian society appetite is for furthering or for revenge. Because if they were to strike the most diplomatic, centralized form of power that they have, that they could easily fucking kill, they do not know who comes next or what Iranian society looks like after this. America and Israel's goals in the region ultimately are either a puppet state of their design that can maintain some semblance of stability, which will be very difficult because Iranians have no appetite for further destabilization efforts from the West, especially considering that the Islamic Republic was a direct reaction to the initial destabilization that the West brought about. Okay? So that'll be incredibly brutal, far more brutal than the Islamic Republic, which is crazy to imagine. Okay? And it's not that, I mean, you can just point to the previous Shah regime to understand exactly how angry and resentful Iranian society got due to the Shah's ruthless autocracy and its ruthless policies. Or if they can't implement a puppet state or maintain a puppet state in Iran, they'll most likely try to turn it into a fail state.
Nuclear program back substantially last night. Whether it's years or beyond that, we know it's going to be a very long time before Iran can even build a nuclear weapon if they want to. But I actually think that raises the most important question. The president talked about this last night. We want Iran to give up their nuclear weapons program peacefully, but there is no way that the United States is going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And so they really have to choose a pathway, John. Are they going to go down the path of continued war, of funding terrorism, of seeking a nuclear weapon? Or are they going to work with us to give up nuclear weapons permanently? If they're willing to choose the smart path, they're certainly going to find a willing partner in the United States to dismantle that nuclear weapons program. But if they decide they're going to attack our...
A fail state, what is that? Something that resembles either Syria or Libya.
Troops, if they decide they're going to continue to try to build a nuclear weapon, then we are going to respond to that with overwhelming force. So
Libya.
Really what happens next is up to the Iranians.
So but let me drill down on what was accomplished. There's a report this morning in the New York Times that Fordo, that deep underground enrichment facility, was severely damaged but not fully destroyed. But the president said last night the enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Can we say that definitively, or are we just not sure yet? I mean, have those facilities been obliterated?
Well, John, severely damaged versus obliterated, I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. What we know is that the nuclear program back substantially. And again, John, I don't want to get into very sensitive intelligence about what we know, but I feel extremely confident, and I can say to the American people with great confidence that they are much further away from a nuclear program today than they were 24 hours ago. That was the objective of the mission, to destroy that Fordo nuclear site and, of course, do some damage to the other sites as well. But we feel very confident that the Fordo nuclear site was substantially set back, and that was our goal.
The UN's atomic energy watchdog said that Iran had 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium. Do we know what has become of that? Was it destroyed in this attack? Do we know? That's a big stockpile.
We're going to work in the coming weeks. Yeah, John, we're going to work in the coming weeks to ensure that we do something with that fuel. And that's one of the things that we're going to have conversations with the Iranians about. But what we know, John, is they no longer have the capacity to turn that stockpile of highly enriched uranium to weapons-grade uranium. And that was really the goal here. Uranium is not that difficult to come by, John, but enriching uranium up to the point of a nuclear weapon, that is what the president put a stop to last night.
There is no functional way to stop any sort of nuclear program outside of real hardline commitments to peace and negotiations. Barack Obama and Donald Trump basically proved this, okay? In the absence of that, if the goal is to stop the nuclear program, then your goal isn't the nuclear program at all. Your goal is destabilization. The nuclear program, which doesn't even fucking exist, really. Like, they don't have nukes. It's a lie. It's like saying Iraq has WMDs. It's the same shit. You're not going to be able to do that with a limited air campaign either. The only way you can do that with boots on the ground military warfare, which good luck at that point. If you thought the Iraq war was bad, holy fuck. You are unhinged. What? Hasan, this is the same chatter from before. He's just arguing in chat and not listening to what you're saying. Iran is 1v6. They do not have superpower. They are weak and don't have any support. Iran is not Superman. Iran will not go Super Saiyan. What are you talking? No one is saying this. No one is saying this. Okay? Remember what these guys fucking said about... Remember what everybody said about Yemen? Oh, dude, Yemen is going to learn today about what it means. Yemen is going to learn today about what it means that Americans don't have health care. Who learned? Who learned that lesson? Did Yemen learn that lesson, or did we learn that lesson? That's not how war is waged, chatter. if that's how war was waged, about the superior military, and it wasn't about like logistics, and if it wasn't about attrition, then Yemen would have stopped bombing Israel. They have not. They came to the table, and America literally secured a ceasefire with American naval vessels only. Why did they do that? Because they kept bombing Sanaa. They kept bombing different parts of Yemen. They killed a fuck ton of civilians, and Yemen did not let down even a little bit. Stop using stupid ass fucking faillennial references to talk about shit.
This morning, the Russian reaction caught my eye. Dmitry Medvedev,
yes, my dad
of
is
course, the former
lighting the kitchen
president,
on
prime
fire
minister
again.
of Russia, now the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, said the enrichment of nuclear material, and now we can say it outright, the future production of nuclear weapons will continue. A number of countries are ready to...
By the way, we'll say it outright now is most likely a fucking mistranslation. Also, once again, Medvedev is not, Medvedev is a fabulist, okay? With the things that he said about Ukraine, everybody obviously dunked on him when he was saying that shit, unless it was, good enough to do propaganda. But as far as like nuclear weapons will continue, the production of nuclear weapons will continue, I think what they are trying to say in this circumstance, if we are to take this seriously, if he is truly even representative of the Russian position, which I don't think it is, I think it's an exaggeration of the Russian position. They're saying that they are going to pull out of the denuclearization, the NPT.
Directly supply Iran with their own nuclear warheads. What do you make of that Russian response? And are they off base? I mean, they're saying that the nuclear program in Iran is still well underway.
Well, first of all, I think it's a bizarre response, but I also don't know that that guy speaks for President Putin or for the Russian government. One of the things that we've picked up, John, in our conversations with the Russians over the last few months, despite our many disagreements, of course, with the state of Russia, they've been very consistent that they don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And this is what I think many commentators underappreciate about what the president did last night. Iran having a nuclear weapon, nuclear proliferation in the Middle East is a disaster for pretty much everybody. It's one of the few issues where Russia, China, and the United States have broad agreement, is that we don't want to see a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. So what the president did was very important. I'll let President Putin speak to what the official Russian position on this is, but I feel very confident that both for Russia, for China, and most importantly, of course, for us, we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and I think that goal is going to continue to animate American policy for the next few years.
President Trump last night also threatened additional military action if Iran retaliates or if peace does not come quickly. How quickly are we talking about? Are we talking about days? Are we talking about weeks?
Well, look, John, I'll let the president make those determinations, actually, but we're now going to have a serious conversation about how to get rid of Iran's nuclear weapons program permanently, meaning they have to choose not to have a nuclear weapons program and they have to give this thing up. Now, if you go back a little bit, John, what we have said consistently and repeatedly is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. We accomplished the goal of putting them back substantially last night, but there are two big things that the Iranians are going to have to choose from here. Number one, do they attack American troops in the region? If they do, as the president said, you're going to see overwhelming force from the Americans. If they continue to pursue a nuclear weapon, you're also going to see overwhelming force from the American people. So we've got really the ball in Iran's court here. If they make smart decisions, I think they're going to find us willing to work with them. If they continue to support terrorism, nuclear...
work with them, just like we have so far, you know? Work with them as we have done so far. What more do you want? we want to work with them, dude. You know, come back to the negotiation table one more time so we can slap you in the fucking face one more time. As we slowly but surely keep playing the song and dance until your entire sovereignty is diminished knowing full well that you won't even fucking, retaliate one bit in the process. Come on, man. Come on. Have you said thank you, Iran? Iran, have you said thank you?